fresh blueberries are one of the highest fruits in antioxidants. Welcome to Naturally Gourmet. I'm Karen Houghton, and joining me is Dr. Wes Youngberg.
Hey, Karen.
And my daughter-in-law, Sandra Houghton.
Hi.
And we're going to be doing some good down-home food today, a lentil roast, some roasted potatoes, and a power-packed spinach salad that's loaded with nutrition. So we're going to get started with our lentil roast. We'll start with 1½ cups of cooked lentils.
Now, Dr. Youngberg, most people think when they're making a loaf, they usually think of making a meatloaf.
Right.
What's the advantage of doing this with lentils?
Well, the big advantage, of course, is lentils has no cholesterol in it, no saturated fat, and it's loaded with fiber. It's really good for your heart. Another thing is that it's especially good in folate. Folic acid deficiencies of folic acid have been found to lead to allergies. And so if we're struggling with some type of allergy, make sure you get something like lentils. And the other foods that we've been showcasing also are good sources of folate. So we're just loaded with good nutrients here.
That's good news. And now we're going to add about 1 cup of soy milk. And if you are allergic to soy, you can use rice milk, or you can use a nut milk if that'll work better for you.
So almond milk will work fine?
Almond milk, well, you got to make sure it's not sweetened because you don't want your lentil loaf to be sweetened.
Okay.
So you want to use an unsweetened, or you could make a cashew milk, just cashew and waters blended up. So you can use a variety of different milks for this loaf. Okay, now we're going to add 1/4 cup of extra light olive oil. And we'll just pour that in our measuring.
Now, why are we using the extra light as opposed to the extra virgin this time?
Because we don't want a real strong olive taste in this loaf.
Taste is important.
Taste is important, and the olive taste is not what we want in this lentil loaf. So we're just going to mix that in, and now we're going to add 1/2 cup of chopped onion. Sandra, if you would measure that out for me.
Sure.
And then 1/2 cup of pecan meal, and I'm going to grab a spoon here and just do about 1/2 of this 1 cup measuring. And pecans are really good for you. We're back to the good nuts.
They're high in magnesium and even manganese, which is good for the bones and the pancreas. Kids who have problems with attention deficit disorder, or adults who have problems with attention deficit disorder, could benefit from having nuts in their diet on a regular basis.
Now, I remember you saying once, too, that people that eat nuts, it helps them with, like, restless leg syndrome?
Yes, yes. In fact, I'm feeling a little antsy right now because I haven't played basketball in a few days. And if you ever have restless leg syndrome where at night you're feeling antsy or just a little bit at dis-ease, that one of the best things you can do is just eat some type of legumes or beans or anything with magnesium in it, like whole grain.
Okay, whole grains and nuts have magnesium too?
Big time.
Okay.
Is this recipe something that people who are wanting to lose weight would be good for them?
You're right, Sandra. That's another really great advantage of the lentil loaf specifically. Legumes, and especially lentils, are loaded with protein, which give you a sense of satisfaction. The biggest reason people eat too much food is because you're eating food that's low in nutrients. Mm-hmm. And so they just keep eating because their body hasn't received what it really needs. And so this type of food is just loaded with nutrients. Your body feels satisfied, and you stop eating. So you don't have to snack throughout the day when you're eating this type of diet.
Okay, now we're going to add 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. Just sprinkle that in, and we're back to how good garlic is for you. Garlic's your natural antibiotic, and you mix that in.
And we already have the onions in there, which researchers have recently found are really high in antihistamines.
Okay.
And so a lot of people will take an antihistamine medicine because of allergies. But if you eat enough onions, you actually have a natural antihistamine effect. It's rich in a chemical called quercetin, which is powerful.
So if you start to sneeze, chew on an onion.
There you go.
That'll make you cry.
Fix the problem.
So what do we
Change
got
your
here?
problem.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got 1.5 cups of cornflakes that we're going to add to this. In fact, I'm going to measure this one out to make sure we get the right amount. Okay, that's helpful. Okay.
Now, what's the purpose of adding the cornflakes to this
Well,
loaf?
this helps thicken it up a little
All
bit.
right.
Add a little more bulk to it. And once you get it in the bowl, then you can just kind of crunch it up. So we've got about a cup there. And now we'll just, maybe I'll just do this. Let's see if I can get a 1/2 cup this way. A little bit more. Okay.
And I've eaten this before at your house, and it's very good.
Oh yeah, this is one of Danny's favorite loaves.
It's really satisfying. It really fills you
It
up.
fills
And
you up.
any of you who are struggling with blood sugar problems in particular, this will even out your blood sugars over time. Patients of mine who have diabetes say not only does it lower their blood sugars right after the meal, but after the next meal, and the next meal, and the next.
Wow.
So legumes and lentils are powerful for controlling blood sugars in diabetics.
So the more beans you eat, the better off you are, for sure. Okay, this is starting to thicken up a little bit, but you don't want to forget the salt, because if you don't put salt in this loaf, it's not going to be quite as tasty. And we've got, well, salt to taste. So I would put close to a teaspoon of salt in here. And then if it's not enough, you can always salt it right on the table. Let's get this mixed up and chopped a little bit more.
Now, what do you use to thicken this up?
This is it.
That's it?
Yeah. Now,
Okay.
if you want to, and you can add a little bit even more nutrition to it, you can just grind up some flaxseed, maybe a tablespoon or 2 of flaxseed ground up, and remember that's very high in omega-3 fats, and you can put that in here, and it'll help thicken it up even more. However, the loaf that I've made doesn't have any flaxseed in it, and it turns out just fine. It's just as thick as it needs to be. In fact, if you want to reach over and get that blue pan over there, we can show the people what the finished loaf looks like. And there we go. There's our finished loaf out of the oven. And you can see the consistency is nice and thick. And it's very tasty. Now, some people like to put gravy on top of the lentil loaf. Some people like to put barbecue sauce on top of it. Others might want to put ketchup, some kind of ketchup that they like on top of the loaf. It's good just plain. I mean, you can eat it plain. And it's one of our family's favorite meals. When you're finished mixing this up, you want to get a loaf pan like this, and this is about the size that it makes. I think that's an 8 by 8 pan. You want to make sure that you oil the pan before you put this in, or it'll stick to the sides. So just oil your pan and put this in it, and you bake it for, about 45 minutes in a 350 oven, and then it'll be done. And this makes a really nice entree. I've often made it for a Sabbath entree, and it goes great with potatoes and your vegetables. It makes a great entree. Don't go away, because we'll be right back.
Karen Houghton, host of the TV series Naturally Gourmet, has developed a wonderful cookbook from her years of experience preparing tasty and healthy meals from a plant-based diet. In her cookbook Naturally Gourmet, Karen features a wide variety of recipes, from baked breads to sumptuous soups, from excellent entrees to delightful desserts.
I'm Karen Houghton, and if you've been enjoying these programs, I want to tell you about our new website, www.naturallygourmet.com. At that website, we have available DVDs, full set of them from all these cooking shows. We also have available a cookbook called Naturally Gourmet with more recipes and more health information.
Order Naturally Gourmet today for only $24.99 plus shipping and handling at naturallygourmet.com, or call 760-723-8082. That's 760-723-8082. Your adventure into healthy living is only a phone call away.